Hello, this is Goku Photo 71, and I'm here to do a review of the original Metroid game. This is also a video response to Tori GNR1's contest. He didn't really give a time restraint, so hopefully I'll be able to do it, because I want to do a fairly good review. But this will be the very first Metroid game that came out in '86. It's the 25th anniversary, I think yesterday. It's a good time to do it. And I'll be talking about the legacy a little bit later in the review, but the first Metroid game. Let's get to the review. So, Metroid came out in 1986 by Gunkai Yoppei. Sorry if I horribly mispronounced his name. And at the time, Zelda and Mario had come out, and they wanted R&D 1 to make a game. That was their team. And so he wanted to take some nods to some of the games that had come before, but he wanted to do something a little bit more mature, a little bit darker. So he did this thing, and there are some inklings of aliens in this. The atmosphere is alone. It's very dark and creepy, and it has like the sound is more like a creature effect than actually music sound that you would hear in a game. And the original game did actually have a save feature, but when it was ported to America, they had to get rid of that because the cartridges couldn't hold that. Now, the game itself was about this person called Samus Aran, who comes to this planet because the space pirates are there, and they're trying to harvest these creatures called Metroids, and this person has to stop Mother Brain by the end of the game, the space pirate leader. Now, this game was really good for what it was, but today it does not hold up. If you were to play this game today, you'd probably put it down. It's very hard to navigate. There is no map in it. It's very, very old. There are areas that you can go through that you would never know unless you're familiar with the game or unless you try ridiculous things. The bosses aren't very good looking for what they are. It was probably amazing back then, but they're just a little bit bigger than the boss, except for the final boss, which is fairly big. And you get a core. I believe you get most of your missiles by killing the two bosses. And then when you kill them, you go and you get to the final area of the game, which was fine for the time, but today it definitely does not hold up. The graphics are fine, actually. The graphics are not what I have a problem with. It's the things that were in the game that just don't hold up to today. My biggest problem with this game is the fact that to save, you have to die. And when you die late in the game and you start back up, well, you start out with 30 health. And it's a pain to get back up to that health. That was a glaring flaw in the game, which couldn't be helped. And just not having a map. But these I can get over in a way. Like, if you really want to play this game, get the Game Boy Advanced version, Metroid Prime Zero Mission. It's the exact same game with more bosses, enhanced visuals, and all the flaws in this game are gone. It plays very much like Super Metroid, which is the best Metroid game. But as a part of history, this is phenomenal. It didn't sell well, but luckily it did get a sequel. And the sequel, the direct sequel of the game, which was not the Game Boy game, but Super Metroid, was a phenomenal game. Also, this series has always had a thing of giving you cool endings, like big endings where something weird happens in the end. And at this game, if you beat the game in a certain amount of time, she'll take off her mask. And yes, it's a she, not a he. And that was huge for the time. And if you if you do it in a ridiculous amount of time, you can actually see Samus in a bathing suit. So that was kind of cool. It's very pixelated. Even the Super Metroid one is very pixelated. But it was kind of cool that you got to see it, and they put something like that in a game, and that they had a female hero. For the time, that was unheard of. And this is responsible for a genre of gaming. And believe it or not, Arkham Asylum takes nods from this game and might not be around. One of the best comic book games of all time might not be around for this. And Dawn Cynthia Knight, Castlevania Cynthia Knight, probably wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Metroid. So, Metroid may not be... The first game might not be the greatest game ever, but it spawned some of the greatest games. And I think... in my top 3 greatest games of all time, Super Metroid's there. That's to tell you how high regard that I put this franchise in. These games are just phenomenal for what they are, and they're dark and they're creepy, and the atmosphere is great. I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. I wish I could rate it higher, but that is a fair score for what the game is. This was a little nostalgic. I didn't play it recently. But yes, I've been trying to be fair. I was trying to be critical. This is Goku Photosum 1, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.